Hello and welcome back to another episode of RC Icons. So today is part 2 of our Ranger XLT build. Part 1 we built the chassis. Epic build. I love going into early Tamiya like this and building kits from new and box. It's just an awesome experience. So yeah. In that video, we built up the chassis. I showed you the new in-box kit in the presentation, and then it led into building up the chassis. If you didn't see that build, definitely go back and check out part 1. This was a compromised kit in the sense that it had been left in a hot place. It came from Taiwan, Kenny, and it probably, maybe it was in an area where it got exposed to some heat, because basically what happened is on the right-hand side of the kit, the blister pack had released itself from the top of the box, and I would have to assume that the cases got really hot when you leave metal in the sun. Just in construction, if you leave your nail gun in the sun or your hammer in the sun and then you go to pick it up, it's blazing hot. So I would have to assume that the aluminum cases had gotten really hot and it made melt marks in the original tires. So this is a set of, they were sold to me as original Ranger tires. They could be Riri Subaru Brat tires. I really don't care. I'll be honest. I don't know if they're original to the Ranger. I just know the original tires are garbage and weren't going to work for the build. So I sourced a new set, and these ones are perfect. So in this video, we're going to get the body painted up. I believe it's TS. I think it's 27. Royal blue. I'll bring it up when I bring the camera over. I'll grab the paint and I'll show you the paint, but we're gonna paint the body up. Back in the day, they used to try to do the plastics in the color of the actual paint so that people could choose whether or not they wanted to paint the truck or just decal the original plastics. That's why the Porsche was green. That's why the Martini Porsche was white. That's, you know, I mean, that's just kind of how they came. The black Lambo comes black. The blue Lambo actually came white, and you had to paint it blue or whatever color you wanted. But the Ranger came blue, and we're going to paint it up, and it's going to look pretty much exactly the same. And then we're going to get the original decals done. We're going to get all the body detailing done. I think there's like 6 different paint colors that go on this truck, and we might veer away from some of the box art with some of the detail painting just a little bit. We'll probably do the Ford. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do the Ford in white or in silver. And then the tire writing is going to match whatever I do on the Ford. So it'll probably be done in white, but I might do silver window surrounds. So I think if the wheels are white and the tire writing is white and the Ford is white, that'll probably look pretty cool. I'll have to look at the decals. I believe, yeah, the side stripes I think are done in white, and then obviously the grille is going to take the most time with all the black detailing on the inside of the grille as well as around the headlights and stuff. So yeah, we've got a lot of detail work. This is going to be a busy build. Hard bodies always are, but it's going to look epic. So we're going to do the top of the top of the bed is going to be black to match the box art, and yeah, we're just going to take it one step at a time. So let me bring the camera over and I'll show you what's left in the box, the decals and that kind of stuff, and then we'll get into getting this truck finished off. All right, so I got everything out of the box. I have a photocopied manual first of all because the kit is a Japanese kit and it's completely in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese and nor read Japanese. So I've got a photocopied manual from Competition X that's actually in English. I've got all my paints here, so we'll go through real quick the truck and what needs to be done. So believe it or not, the manual doesn't give you a paint color for the actual truck body, but if you go on Tamiya base, they specify it as TS15, which is just blue, and it looks exactly the same as the plastics on the truck. right? Except it's going to give it a gloss look instead of a flat look. So we have 2 tins of TS15. The Grille, just like the Blackfoot, the insides get painted black and the inside edges of the lights get painted black, flat black. It also specifies between the grille and the bumper is supposed to be the body color. Now that presents a bit of an issue in the sense that you would have to mask everything off to be able to spray that. The other thing is Tamiya paint will not stick to the chrome coating. So they want you to paint over the chrome and eventually that's going to chip out. Typically, if you want to paint chrome to pieces, you have to strip the chrome with super clean. You can get at Walmart. You literally let it soak for an hour and the chrome comes right off and then you can paint chromed parts. But you can't do that in the sense that I can only strip that section. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I do have an XF blue that I can try to paint in there, although I need to look and see how close the blue is to the original box art color. But they do show that strip right here being painted body color, it says. So I don't know what I'll do about that. But you know what? If it doesn't get painted blue, it's not the end of the world. So what I've decided to do so that the manual doesn't show the front Ford logo getting painted with any color, but the box shows it in silver. So we're going to do the front Ford in silver, and then we're going to do the black Ford in... I'm still debating whether silver or white. The manual shows white. The decals are silver stripe, not white stripe. You know, it's like a real light silver. So I may, it's almost like a light gray. I'm still debating whether or not to do the Ford in silver and then the tire writing will be done in white. The Ford will probably get done in white on the back and then silver in the front. I don't know. These are the debates that you get into with yourself when you do this kind of stuff. The lights are red at the bottom and they're white at the top. And then the surround of the light is supposed to be red all the way around, although that's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. Just because of the way that the light is shaped. You know, it's going to be real hard to get red in around that. So regardless, you know, we're just going to take it step by step. But essentially the paints that we need, we have the TS15 for the body. I've got a white and a silver paint pen. The side light on the marker light on the side gets painted orange. So we have orange. I've got silver acrylic paint to do the Ford logo if I don't decide to do it with the pen. I've got 2 different colors. It says paint driver figure however you want. So I've got 2 different browns to work with for the hair. I've got the flesh for the face. The red is for the tail lights. The white's for the tail lights and potentially the Ford logo in the back. And then the flat black is again for the grille. So when you look at the paints for this truck, just like any other hard body, most of them just have a ton of detail, right? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 11 different colors of paint sitting here to paint this truck with. So we're going to start off by getting the blue put down on the truck itself. Oh, and then the rear window, this stripe here at the bottom is body color. And then I actually didn't even think to bring it up, but I'm going to need the black TS paint to paint the top of the deck. The bed liner is supposed to be done in black as well. And then I'm also toying with the notion of doing the little silver button marks, because in the box it shows that it's a tonneau cover and it's a button style tonneau cover. So I think it would be cool to have the little button marks all the way around on top of the blue. So maybe if the front Ford was silver and the buttons were silver, then that'll just help bring the silver over. Because if I do the tire writing in white and the Ford in white on the back, I forget you have the silver decals going down the sides too. But yeah, I just don't want it to look too rainbowy either. You know, you got all these different colors. which obviously gives it the detail. But it's definitely going to be some work, just like the Blackfoot is work, just like the Brat is work. So yeah, they're just long-winded painting sagas where you just keep adding detail as you go. So the body's going to have to be cleaned up just a little bit. There's some fleshing that's still on the chuck from the molds. We're going to have to get rid of that, and then you know, I don't know that I'll primer the body, but I might just give it a real light scuff with some 800 or some 400 grit paper before we actually paint it. So before I get on to it, if you didn't see from the first video, I just wanted to show you the chassis real quick. I did mod the rear wheels on this chassis when I built it, and I go over how I did it in that build video. There's still plenty of suspension there, but I modded it so that the rear wheels sit straight and they're not cocked like the box shows, first of all, and then like you see on all SRB chassis. So you can see on the box it actually shows that the tires have that infamous SRB rear tire cocked to them, right? I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. So I modded the rear end to make it sit normal, and I'm so glad that I did. So if you want to see how that mod happened, check out the part 1 video of the Ranger, and you'll see in the middle of that video how I modded the rear end. And I'm going to step away now and start spraying some blue, getting this going. So I'll bring you back when I've got something to show you, probably once the body's painted and before we start doing the detail work. So I've been working away here and I'm forgetting the video, so I figured I would bring you back, kind of show you where I'm at. So last I left you, we went over the paint, but I hadn't started painting. So at this point, the body is painted. I scuffed it down with a 400 grit sandpaper, and it left some, for 400 I thought it was too deep sand marks. So then I was toying with the notion of priming it, and I was like, you know what, I'll just paint it. I probably put 10 coats of paint on this truck over the course of 3 or 4 days, and it came out absolutely perfect. Like, it's flawless. But I wouldn't use 400 again. If I was to scuff a body down again, I would use probably 600 or 800, because it did leave more severe scratch marks than I would have thought. I did the top of the bed in flat black, just to match the box art. So when you look at the box art, it shows the bed being black, and it actually shows the buttons on the sides of the bed. Right now the sides of the bed are blue, just because it was easier to mask the top than it was the side. I may still do that rim in black and try to do those buttons, but I haven't decided that yet. I figured I'd get the rest of the truck essentially done and not assembled, and then I would toy with that notion. So worst case scenario is if I do it first before I do anything else and I screw it up, I could just mask the top back off and shoot it back over black, and the sides of the bed are blue again, and that's the end of it. So I'll probably have to try it soon before I start detailing the body, because the next step, I'm doing all the handles will be silver, the front window frame will be silver, the Ford in the front will be silver, and I don't want to get that done and then have to spray again on the back. So it shows the front window surround being silver, so I want to do that. It shows the door handle being silver, so I want to make sure I do that. But that's really it for the silver. And then, as we all know, on the Blackfoot and the Ford Ranger, the grille is shown as being black in the front with the black windows. So I got the grille done. It's all blacked out. Came out good. So when I do these grills, it's very hard to get into these little areas with flat black paint and not get the little ribs going across. So I just paint it. And then what I do is I take a cotton, some people call it a bud, right? In America, we call them Q-tips, right? Now, we know Q-tip is a brand, but as Americans, we have a tendency to brand everything, right? So a Q-tip is a brand, but every Q-tip in the world is a Q-tip, even though it's in England, it's what, an earbud? So polycarbonate cleaner, and then I just go in and you just rub the centerpiece and then you turn it around. Now you don't want to be dripping polycarbonate cleaner, so dip it in, and then I usually roll it on a paper towel. Just roll it across a paper towel to get some of the excess off, and then you just rub that inside, and it will loosen up that black paint. And then take the back side that's dry and rub it, and the chrome just comes right back on all those center ribs. So the grill is essentially done. I'm not going to do anything on that separation between the grill and the bumper. I'm just going to leave that because if it's an XF paint, it'll probably stick. But if it was a spray paint, the TS paints do not stick to chrome plated parts for Tamiya. So don't even bother spraying chrome. You have to strip it first with super clean. I learned that with my semi trucks. You can't just spray over chrome. You got to strip it first. So the grill is done. The tire writing is done. The body is done. The driver figure is ready to be started. All I did was white primer it. I want to leave it that kind of rough color with a little bit of the blue showing through, because that's what the driver looks like. So now I got to do the flesh colored hands. You know, this has seat belts where that driver doesn't, so I'll probably do just black seat belts with silver buckles, and then I'll paint the head with brown hair, flesh covered face, maybe a little bit of detail on the eyebrows, but I'm not a good painter, so we'll have to be careful. Now the back window is done. I masked it off, and I did the blue strip like it showed in the manual, and then I masked it off again, and I did the whole window surround in silver. So this is it. Done with the window surround in silver. Sorry, just peeling this off on camera is probably not the best idea, but I'm not the smartest videographer on YouTube, so it is what it is. So when I peel this off, and I'll probably have to clean it up a little bit, but that's okay. So now the window surround itself is silver, and the blue matches the blue. And when I put it in the truck, now I've got a silver window surround, and the blue line is completing the bed, right? So we'll have that detail. Like I said, that needs to be cleaned up, but it'll look better than that when it's done. And then I went in and I did the tailgate with the white Ford letters, and then the white at the top of the lights and the red at the bottom of the lights. And then one more thing I wanted to show you before I move on with more painting, and I'll probably start getting into decals. The box doesn't show the big red Ford decal on the back. This big red Ford decal, the box doesn't show that. The manual does show it, but I'm not putting it on. I'll leave it with the truck so that when my family sells my collection someday and the truck goes to somebody else, they'll have that decal to put on it, but I'm not putting it on there. I like the look of the box, to be honest. I think that is a stellar representation of the Ranger, and I want it to look like that, not necessarily what the manual is saying. So whether it's box art or not, call it what you want. I wanted to show you guys this, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, so let me grab a piece of sandpaper here, and I'm gonna put it behind the sandpaper. So these are sold on eBay UK. And what is that? Well, there's a gentleman out there who got really smart and decided to do the lettering for the Ford badging, and it's on a sprue that's spaced exactly where it needs to be, so that you can glue these letters onto like a Riri Blackfoot body, and make it look like an original body with the raised lettering on the tailgate and the raised lettering on the front of the bed. So I actually got 2 of these just for the hell of it, because I saw them. I'm going to send one to Glenn and see if he can try doing it on his Blackfoot. So the lower Ford, this one here, goes on the front of the body, and it's spaced perfectly on the sprue. So I'm assuming you just a little bit of dab of glue, maybe even put it on with a paintbrush to the back of those letters, and then you glue that lower sprue on, and when you match it up, it's perfect. It's absolutely spaced perfect. The letters are perfect, right? And then once it's done, you just pop the sprue off of the body, and the letters stay behind. But I got one for him to try at the very least. I figured, what the heck? I think it was 10 pounds. So 10 pounds. And if you were able to pull it off, you know, you've got everything you're missing, right? So to the people that want to do a Ranger that hasn't been reread yet, listen, go get yourself a sand scorcher, and get yourself a Blackfoot body. Get yourself some Subaru wheels and tires, and get one of these for 10 pounds, and you can literally put together a Ranger with some MCI decals, right? Is it a clone? Yeah, it's a clone, but it's going to give you what you're looking for in your collection as far as what it looks like. Without spending $1,000 on a kit. If you're lucky, $1,000 on a kit. You know, so I've seen them $2,000. Now, I didn't spend anywhere near this. I didn't even spend $1,000. But at the same time, people ask what they ask, and you're only going to find what's out there, right? So if you want one, you're going to have to pay for it. And that's just the way this hobby works. Like, I've got a lot of kits here, and don't get the wrong impression. I didn't get deals on all of these. I didn't pay $200 a kit for these kits. I've got a lot of money invested in these kits. It kind of is what it is. If you want one, it's going to cost you. Is that right? Is it wrong? That's a debatable issue. It kind of is what it is. Some of the kits I get deals on, but like if I was to go buy this kit, a deal on this kit for me, if I could find one for $800, I'm going to buy it, because to me that's a deal when the rest of them are at $2,000. To other people, $800 is unreachable. I totally understand that, and it's not me boasting. It's just that's just the reality of the hobby. But you could go buy a Subaru Brat kit for $142 and use that chassis if you wanted to, and just put a Ford Ranger body on here, or a Blackfoot body on it with these, and have a Ranger, right? Or go get an SRB chassis. $389 or $350, I think, for a sand scorcher. $389, I think I paid for my Riri sand scorcher, right? Take that body off, put it to the side, get a Blackfoot body, get some Riri wheels and tires off of a Subaru Brat, and buy one of these for $10. And you know, for probably $450, half of what a deal would be on a real kit. You could put your own Riri together, you know. So I just wanted to show that. I thought that was pretty cool. It's got spacers and things. I think these are for the body, like for mounts and stuff. So if you were to use a Blackfoot body, it's made for a Blackfoot body, not necessarily for the Ranger body. So it's got some extra parts in here that may be for the Blackfoot. I'm not sure. I was more interested in the raised letters. I thought that was cool as hell and a smart idea. So I'm going to keep pushing forward with this, and I'll bring you back when I have something to show you. I don't know if that's going to be the finished truck, a partially finished truck. But either way, when I have something to show you, I'll bring you back. But this is one of those where you're kind of just working off camera little by little, and before you know it, it's done and you don't have anything filmed. So I'm trying to not do that, bring you back halfway through and show you what I've done. Awesome. See you in a bit. All right, so I figured I would bring you back. Paintwork is done. I didn't end up doing the buttons. It's just too much. My hand can barely get the windows. That's some silver on the blue. I'll have to touch that up. I can barely get the window surrounds done with my shaky hands. So there's no way I'm going to get buttons done. So there's your grill with your headlights blacked out, or the surrounds. There's your driver figure. I went brown hair, brown eyes, flesh covered hands, black seat belts, silver buckles. Came out great. And then there's your back window with the silver surround. So it still needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Need to wash the windows. I haven't done the sunroof yet because I'm toying with the notion of setting it at an angle. I think that looks cool sometimes. So I just got to figure out some little pieces of plastic to put in there. Obviously, I don't plan on running this truck hard, so if I roll it over, it's going to destroy that sunroof, but I don't plan on rolling it over. There's your front Ford in silver. Came out nice. And your rear tailgate in white. So yeah, it came out really nice. I'm very happy with it. So now we start with the decals. So, little interesting fact for you. The Blackfoot that came out in 86 was essentially the same body. Had holes, extra holes in it for the roll cage, but the mold was essentially the same. In the Blackfoot, Tamiya didn't do any cuts in the decals for when it came around the fenders, but in the reread they did. So I've actually got 2 Blackfoot new in box kits, originals, one to build, one to keep new in box. And when I build that Blackfoot, I wanted to know where the cut marks were, so I bought a set of the reproduction decals just so that I can see where the cut lines are. In the Ranger, back in 82, I think it was, they had the cut lines in the decals. So it doesn't really make sense to me that they would have put the cut lines in the decals in 82 but not in 86. Just an interesting fact for the fellow Tamiya nerds that are out there like myself. So yeah, I apologize for not showing you more of the paint, but when you're doing a hard body, it's just hard. It's so many little, I don't know if you saw the door handles. I actually did the lock too in silver. There's so many little alcohol wipe. Boom, that little bit of silver is gone. Just like that. There's so many little, little things, little detail things that need to be done. It's just hard to stop and show you something. So sometimes it's just easier to just push forward. And then, I don't know, for the people that like shorter videos, maybe this one will end up shorter because I didn't show as much detail. I understand. So I always say that I'm not a YouTuber as far as like I'm not doing stuff for YouTube. And I get that some people want short videos, but I don't understand how you build a Blazing Blazer chassis in 7 minutes on YouTube. I just don't. And I don't mean to criticize other channels. I've got a Blazing Blazer that I'm going to build on my channel. The chassis is already built, but it's a Blazing Blazer. Like, I want to see some detail in the build. That's just me personally, and I don't understand how you can do it in 7 minutes. So I apologize for those people that want short videos, but I'm not going to just trim it down and take all of the chassis build out. Like, my chassis builds are usually 40 minutes long. If I can keep it at 40 minutes, I think that's good. If it gets to an hour, it's probably too much. But you're never going to see a chassis build from me that's 7 minutes long. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. So I apologize if my videos tend to be long, my build videos. I'd rather them be detailed. This is about documenting what I'm doing, and I'm not really doing that if I'm trying to cut videos down to be short. So sorry for the rant. I'm going to start cutting up the decals. I'll try to bring you back as I'm putting them on, but I'll be honest, you're probably just going to see the truck done here in a second. It'll take me a couple of hours, but you'll get it in instantaneously. So see you in a minute or a second. Well, I had to bring you back. I started cutting up the original decal sheet, and I had a feeling when I was cutting it, I could kind of tell the decals rolling off the paper. So I've got the first one on here, and I just had a hairdryer on it literally for 10 minutes. And there's like no adhesive at all on these decals. Like none. They just roll right off wherever you want to stick the thing, it just falls off, right? So bit of an issue with that. I don't think that Windex or the water technique's going to help at all. If there's no adhesive, there's no adhesive. So I don't really know what else to do other than order a set of reproduction decals from MCI. So I'm going to have to end the video. I think what my plan is going to be is, because I don't want to wait 3 weeks for decals to come in to finish this truck and be able to run it. It's just going to be a light run on the asphalt and in the grass. I don't even want this thing getting dirty, but I want you guys to see this thing, you know, running across the ground. So I'm going to just leave this decal on this truck. If it falls off on its own, it falls off on its own. Put in the comments if you've got any suggestions for old decals. You know, this is 1982, I think. I think that's what year this came out, was 1982. I don't know if there's a date on the box or not. I can't remember. I know it's number 27, but for some reason I thought it was 1982. Yeah, there's no date. Maybe there's one on the manual. But if you guys have any ideas for adhesive, fixing adhesive or putting adhesive on old decals, I mean, I guess I would give it a shot, but at the same time, kind of is what it is. So when you're dealing with these vintage kits that are 30, 40 years old, yeah, it's great to build them from new in box, but you're going to run into stuff like this where the tires are melted, right? In the first video, I showed you that the tires were melted. Obviously, this kit had some heat to it if the tires melted, right? So obviously the decals were compromised as well. So I'm going to keep the original decal sheet in the box, and if you guys give me any ideas in the comments about how to fix these decals, then I'll certainly try it, because I'd like to have the original decals on the truck, but it's not going to be the end of the world if it's a set of MCIs on there. Nate does a good job. Nathan does an awesome job, and it kind of is what it is. These old trucks, I've got an original set of decals for my Blazing Blazer, and I have an original set for my vintage Hilux 4x4, and I could run into the same issue. I could spend a boatload of money on original decals for my Blazer, and they just don't stick, and they're not worth the piss. So it is what it is. I'm going to bring the chassis over, and I'm going to give you a closing, and we're going to have to end this video. And in the meantime, I'm going to order a set from MCI. That's why my computer's on the desk. I'm actually looking at him now. I didn't realize he had large wheelbase and small wheelbase. So if anyone's wondering, because I just measured it, the correct Ranger decals for this body is the approximately 80 millimeter decal. So I'm going to order a set right now, and video 3, the running video, hopefully at that point you'll see this truck decaled. I apologize if it's anticlimactic, but you know, at the very least the body's painted and done and it looks great, right? So it's just a matter of figuring out this decal situation. But I don't want this to turn into the Optima Mid Custom Special all over again, where it sits on my bench for 4 weeks while other projects are going on while I'm trying to figure out the body. So let me move the camera around, and we'll end the video, and just have to do a part 3. We're going to do it anyways. It's just a matter of what the truck's going to look like. So that's going to do it for this episode of RC Icons. A little bit of a letdown not being able to decal the truck. It kind of is what it is. When you, like I said in the last clip, when you're dealing with old kits like this, sometimes you're going to run into this, right? So I've got a boatload of old kits. Unfortunately, I've got old decals as well, and some of them just aren't going to stick. So the truck as a whole came out absolutely gorgeous. I took that front bumper off just because it wasn't doing the truck justice. The paintwork absolutely came out stellar. I cannot be happier with the way that the paint came out. This thing's going to look awesome driving down the road. And just like in that first video, we've got rear tires that sit the way that they should and not sitting cocked up in the air. Sorry, I was just looking at the radio gear. The tray seems loose, but that's kind of indicative of those well nuts. When you're working on compression of a nut to hold something in place, if you don't get it right, it's going to pop loose. So I've ordered a set of the MCI reproduction decals so that we can see this truck 100% done. It's just going to have to happen in the third video when we actually run it. I'm hoping I can get the decals in before I run it. Kind of is what it is. I'm at the mercy of MCI, and I don't like to have videos linger. I just had this happen with the Optima Mid Custom Special, and it took me literally 5 weeks to do that body shell. In that time, I built the Dynablaster and this truck, and it's like, so I've got a kit that's half, you know, I'm working on that body, and I'm trying to work on other trucks, and my studio's not big enough to have 3 different projects kind of laid out all over the place, risking something getting broken or, you know, scratched or what have you. So this is going in the cabinets the way that it is until the MCI decals come, and then at that point I'll break it back out and I'll get a third video going where maybe we get it decaled real quick, put some radio gear in it, give it a light, very light run. I mean, literally, we are taking this thing up and down my road paved surface and one little putt around my yard maybe, and that's going to be it. I do not anticipate the tire riding coming off this truck, put it that way. I know you guys want to see some of this stuff run. You have to understand the expense of these kits, the age of the plastics, all that stuff. Yeah, RC cars were made to run. Absolutely, I agree with you. In 1982, when this kit was produced, it was made to run. We're in 2022. This kit is 40 years old, and it's not going to hold itself together. So you got to cut us some slack. As creators in YouTube, you really have to cut us some slack. I will run whatever I can run without doing damage, put it that way. But my collection is not meant to be put together and then just go out and get hammered on. It's just not going to happen. So video 3 will be a light run. And hopefully we'll have it decaled then. But I mean, in all honesty, if this thing never got decaled, it's still beautiful the way it is. So I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the future videos coming up. We've got a ton in store. If you've been watching my channel at all, or if you're new to the channel, go back and watch some of my previous videos. You'll see we've got a ton of content. Cars that you're just not going to see anywhere else. Kits that you're going to see built from new in box that are 40 years old. And we're going to deal with decal problems, and we're going to deal with plastics problems, and that's just part of a vintage RC channel. It is what it is. So again, thank you for watching. We'll see you with the next RC icon.